This is the PowerMac G4 digital audio model. This was made in 2001 by Apple. And of course, in terms of years, that's really old, but in terms of usefulness, not so much. Let me explain why. Many people who use Pro Tools like to use it on this type of machine because Pro Tools runs great in OS 9. Also, this machine required some seriously expensive capture cards in the thousands of dollars, and replacing those on a new machine is possibly not possible and also super expensive. So this still is a very relevant machine for audio production and Pro Tool capture cards, as long as the machine is running in good shape. Now, a little bit of history on the machine in terms of how it came to us. This was actually shipped to us from a customer in Maine that we've never dealt with before, who sent a very nice note along with the machine saying, hey guys, you came recommended by a recording studio in Manhattan. They said you could breathe new life into this computer. Here's the problem. It's slow. I cannot actually use this anymore and I don't want to buy a new one. What can you do? So we took a look around and we said, okay, let's see, what can we do? And the first thing we did is we pulled an ASP report and we looked at the specs of the machine, and the most obvious upgrades that we had in front of us were memory. He only had 512 megabytes of memory. Well, it turns out that this machine can go higher than that. It can go to over 1 gig of memory, which would definitely help. The next thing is that this particular model came with a dual 533 processor, which is right here. Now, nothing wrong with a dual 533 processor, but it's not as high as it can go. It can go up to a 733 processor, which, yes, that makes a difference. And then also we noticed that the original lithium 3.6 volt battery, which is responsible for containing elements of memory and date and time and color data, was also old. So that certainly didn't help anything. So that we said, okay, we just have to put a new one in just as a matter of precaution. So we already did the upgrades for this, and I just want to open her up and show you what we did. There is the new lithium battery, which, by the way, is the Neurotech battery. For you guys going back like 20 years, you know that these are really good batteries. We upgraded the RAM, so we got that to 1.2 gigabytes. Now, the reason it's not a full 1.5 is because of some issues that we had with the processor card that we put in. We put in the 733 megahertz processor card, and we had to do a little bit of soldering with the fan to make it work. It was crashing basically with 1.5. We're not entirely sure why. I mean, there's some theories abound about it, but in any case, nobody is sweating 0.3 megabytes of memory because it makes really no difference whatsoever in terms of Pro Tools and production. The other thing that we really wanted to do is we wanted to outfit this with a solid state drive. Now, we're not going to recommend that he convert everything to a solid state drive simply because Pro Tools has so many plugins, they're really expensive, and to migrate everything over, there's bound to be glitches. And, you know, we just wanted basically to give him the same computer that he's already using, but just make it a whole lot faster. So what we decided is we were going to keep the IDE drives that he has in here. He's got a Seagate Cheetah, very good drive. He's got the original 40 gigabyte Apple drive in there. Surprise, they both still work. A little noisy, as you can hear, but they both still work, and neither of them are in a failing state. So this is well before planned obsolescence. Now, the reason why we decided that we can do these upgrades in the first place is because we diagnosed the machine and the machine passed its testings. What do I mean? The logic board, which is original passed, the power supply, which is original passed, the fans, everything in here is original. The only thing that's different was the addition of the extra hard drive for space, which is using as a scratch disk. So basically, the machine is well built, good shape, ready for upgrades. Okay? And just because you wanted it, we put an airport card in there that has the original 128 airport card. Slides right in, turns on, antenna's connected. I mean, it works. It's not the fastest. I've got to say, there's really nothing we can do superficially to get airport working faster on this machine. But I don't think that's much of a concern. He's going to use Ethernet, so he's real happy with that. All right, so let's close this up. And let's just take a quick look here. And we're in OS 9. Now, of course, I should have had a before and after, but I just want to show you guys something. When you click this, did you see how fast that opens up? Right? That's like you almost couldn't see. Like, that's the internal drive, but this is the drive that we worked on. And you can see that that is super fast now. Everything opens up really fast. I'm not going to go ahead and open everything up, but you can see we've got the 1.2 gigs of RAM, and it's not in here, it's in the system profile. The processor is 733 megahertz, and if you look right down here, you'll see there's our solid state drive. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pause this for a second, and then I'm going to reboot to the solid state drive and come back and explain. If he's not using the solid state drive for Pro Tools, well then what's the point of putting in the solid state drive? So be right back.